These are the prototype Android XR smart glasses that Google was demoing at AWE. So hi everyone, from Tony the Scared Ghost, and today I want to tell you about my quick hands-on with these glasses that Google was showcasing at the Qualcomm booth. And it was a very short demo, but it was interesting the same because it was a sneak peek into what Google and Samsung may launch very soon with their smart glasses made in collaboration with Gentle Monster and carrying. So the demo was very simple. I could put on these glasses, which by the way are not some glasses that are going to be released on the market. They're really prototypes they're building and to test Android XR and upon which the real glasses will be based on. So I've not tried anything that is going to become a product, but it was interesting the same, mostly to evaluate Android XR for glasses. And basically, the first thing I could do is put them on my head, and I could see like a small, let's say, menu showcasing the time and the weather. And then the first thing that made me do is listen to some music. So I was able to launch some music and using swiping on the frames of the glasses to activate an interface to stop and pause and play the music. So it was interesting that the interface was a bit smaller, and when I selected it, became a bit bigger to let me to interact with it better. So it's interesting that Google has made a lot of work on UX improvements, and they also released various articles about that because they are trying to make an interface for glasses that is informative but doesn't occlude your view. So that was the biggest thing of the demo. So even in the music player that was changing the size depending if it was interacting with it or not was quite interesting. Then there was the usual demo with Gemini. So I could see something and ask questions about, there were some books, there was a menu of a restaurant written in Italian. So the guy was asking me to do some translation, but that was already in Italian, so no need for me to translate it. But still, I asked it to translate it to Italian, and Gemini correctly answered that it was already in Italian. And so I asked questions and I got answers, and Gemini, very good AI, model family. So it was performing well, was answering my questions. I was asking also, I started with basic questions, then I started making relationships like, is it better this book or this other book? And try to ask something, and usually the answers were pretty okay. It was a bit weird when a friend of mine made the test and asked for, let's say, vegetarian options on the menu, and Gemini suggested it like beef meat, which is not very vegetarian. But still, let's say in general, the answers were pretty good. Some hallucinations always happens with AI, so that's not a big deal, let's say, unless you're really vegetarian and go to an Italian restaurant. Um, and after that, by the way, again, talking about the UI, apart from the AI, which we already know works well and blah, 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 the AI was, there was a transcription. What the AI was saying, what was not in front of my eyes, to not occlude my view, was on the lower part of the vision. Gemini was shown like a little blue dot, which would get a bit bigger when I was speaking. And there was a text, was pretty readable, like 2 or 3 lines of text while I was speaking. While I was Gemini was speaking, I was listening, and basically I was able to have this interaction. And you could ask questions like, well, where is the most nearby restaurants and blah blah blah. And Gemini is able to also answer these kind of questions because it's connected with your position, with Google Maps, etc., etc. So when you ask it then about a restaurant and what's the closest, I don't know, Subway, Starbucks, I asked it about the closest Starbucks, and then he asked me if I wanted to go there. So he then activated the map. And the map is pretty interesting because it has kind of a double visualization when you go for the directions. If you look straight, you see in the lower part of your vision where you have to go, like go straight for 20 meters. But if you look down, you start seeing the map. And you can see that very quickly and very well in this video that I shot, when there is also native photobombing me in the background. But that's what I mean when I say that Google is investing a lot of effort in the UX, like it always does. And because this interface about looking at the maps is very cool, because if you look straight, probably it's because you want to go somewhere, so you want to see the direction. if you look down, it's like when you look at the map with the phone. So if you look down, probably you want to see where you are, and the map was updating itself. So if I was rotating my head, I could see the map rotating as well. So it was up to date according to my orientation. That was very cool. And that basically was also the end of the demo. So I'm not commenting much on the glasses themselves because they were just prototypical glasses. They were not heavy, I can say that. They were like thicker normal glasses. Let's say a bit like the Ray-Ban Meta displays, so glasses which look like glasses but are thicker than the usual. It was nice that the display was color display. What was not that good was that it was monocular. And I didn't notice in the beginning, I just noticed that my eyes were crossing while looking at it. Then Norman Mueller, the guy that has this Reddit groups, I love him by the way, told me, yeah, you could cross the eyes because it was monocular. So I asked Google for confirmation, they confirmed it's monocular. And this is the same problem I have with the Ray-Ban Meta display. It's like, I'm not a big fan of monocular glasses because they make your eyes feel like crossing. But at the same time, I understand that they're cheaper and blah 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 blah. So pros and cons of both solutions. The thing I like the most is the UX. I think it was very interesting. Still very barebone. I could just see some text and some little UI interactions, but it was very promising. Probably the best I tried with glasses not having a band or something like that, but just the frames. So that was definitely interesting. The audio was okay. I could hear it even if it was in the venue. And my feedback is that it looks very interesting, but at the same time, again, apart from the UX, I feel that these smart glasses all look a bit the same with all the same features and the navigation and the AI assistance and blah blah blah. So I don't think these glasses are going to get to the market and disrupt everything because they feel very similar to all the other smart glasses. Still, if they come out with a good price and a good style and with this UX, they can get some market shares most probably, especially if they're made by Google, Samsung, and Gentle Monsters, so 3 famous companies working on that. So that's my opinion in a nutshell. I hope you like this video. As usual, if you like to follow my insights from all the travels around the world, subscribe to my channel, donate also to my Patreon if you have the money to do that, and put a lot of likes, please. So thanks. Have a good day in the R and AR with my glasses. Bye bye.